Calls for an investigation into reports that Iraqi troops killed and injured people in a camp for Iranian refugees north of Baghdad. Camp Ashraf has been home to more than 3,000 Iranians for 25 years. The Iraqi army has been running the camp since 2009. Well, joining us now to discuss this is Dawlat Nowrouzi of the Iranian opposition group, the National Council of Resistance of Iran. The council claims that 33 people were killed in an offensive by troops on Friday. Good morning to you and thank you for joining us. So, first of all, what do you think has prompted this at Camp Ashraf?
Well, the events for the previous days clearly showed to us there had been contacts and continuous demand, particularly by the Iranian officials from the Iraqi government to destroy Camp Ashraf as the major, you could say, residence center for the Iranian opposition movement, the Mojahedin, that had been recognized as very determined opposition to establish democracy, freedom and human rights, social economic justice in Iran. So considering the wave of uprisings in the Middle East, particularly continuation of protests and demonstrations in spite of severe brutal repression imposed by this very theocratic dictatorship ruling Iran against a youth and vast majority of Iranians, it was clear that they had been trying in any possible way to actually destroy their major opposition movement committed for freedom and democracy. So it's been a number of times requests made by Khamenei, the supreme religious leader, from different Iraqi officials, but particularly Nouri Maliki, who used to live in Iran for some 20 years. So this terrible, horrifying criminal act, and actually a crime against humanity, was actually, in our view, on behest of the Iranian regime desire to destroy the major opposition movement.
I mean, you talk about horrifying. I've had a quick look at some of the images, and I believe we can show some of them, but many of them obviously far too shocking for us to broadcast. But you can see soldiers here just driving straight into the camp and running them down.
Well, actually, they deployed about 140 armored vehicles and around 2,500 armed forces to actually enter the camp and attack the residents, totally defenseless residents, unarmed residents. Many of them, 33 were killed, over 300 were severely injured as a result of the gunshot, around 180 of them at least. Many were shot from the back, shot to their chest, shot to their abdomen, shot to their head. Many were deliberately targeted, so it was very clear that their intention was actually to carry out a huge massacre, and it was unbelievable to see how the government of Iraq is willing to actually breach international laws in order to carry out what is the demand of a very brutal dictators ruling Iran.
The information that you're getting is coming straight from Camp Ashraf, from sources there to verify it?
Absolutely, many of it, particularly through video clips, video films we had received, reports we had received. Perhaps you've seen that one of the major actually problems at the moment is huge number of very seriously injured people that need quite very quick medical assistance. And of course, because of 2 years siege imposed on Ashraf by the Iraqi government, they don't have enough adequate medical assistance as well as different facilities they will need to carry out, particularly surgical operation for wounded, the ones that had shotgun wounds. And so at this stage we're receiving a lot of demands, particularly first of all for the armed forces to be actually removed from the camp. We want them to withdraw their forces, particularly the armed ones, which still are being considered as a huge threat for the safety and security of those defenseless refugees. Around 1,000 of them are women. Amongst 33 that were killed, 8 of them were women, aging from 20 up to 35 years of age. It is horrifying to see that this can still continue, and the number of injuries that we had received a lot of demands for actually taking them to either the American hospital, which is near Ashraf, and also to allow for the International Red Cross and the United Nations Assistance Mission to enter the camp to provide one, a first-hand report, second, medical assistance for the injured.
So at the moment, no international assistance has been able to get into the camp at the moment. So the wounded are just being treated in the camp. They haven't been taken anywhere.
Exactly, and actually for the past few days, at least 3 to 4 people that were killed was as a result of the wounds and not having adequate enough medical facilities to save them. They said at Melker, the head of the Secretary General for United Nations Assistance Mission in Iraq, that they were not allowed to enter the camp by the Iraqi government and they were turned down. But it is our demand, it is a clear action of breaching international law. It is time now for international community, and particularly for the Security Council and the United States government, the European Union, to intervene and demand the Iraqi government to bow down to what they really request for providing this assistance for Camp Ashraf residents.
And just finally, do you fear that if there isn't international assistance, there will be more such raids like we're seeing on our screens at the moment?
Absolutely. I think there will be definitely the number of death toll would increase, and actually we are very concerned that they are trying, by not allowing the international observers to get in, is actually to further continue violence against totally unarmed, defenseless residents, particularly the women in Ashraf. So we are very concerned, and we think that they need to be strongly pressured by international community to give in. And of course, as perhaps the R2P responsibility to protect agreement is concerned, the international community and US must intervene.
Okay. Dawlat Norouzi, thanks very much for joining us and sharing this story with us.
Thanks very much for